Hey gang, Daryl Davis coming here to talk about designing a life worth smiling about, but I got a special guest here, Frank Shankwitz, who is the founder and creator of Make-A-Wish Foundation.
And happy beer, and thank you.
Oh, Frank, thank you. You know, it's so great for you to do this. So, you know, first of all, can you share briefly your story about how the Make-A-Wish Foundation got started?
And it's a long story, and I'll try and be brief on it. In 1980, I was a motorcycle officer with the Arizona Highway Patrol. And at that time, the television show Chips was extremely popular with the kids.
Yeah.
And our cops, too. They loved it. So, but I was introduced to a little boy named Chris, 7 years old, who had terminal leukemia. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that was keeping him going in the hospital at the time was he was a hero of Chips.
Wow.
He loved Ponch and John characters.
Okay.
And he kept telling his mother, when I grow up, I'm going to be a motorcycle officer just like Ponch and John.
Okay.
The family contacted Arizona Highway Patrol and told them the story. They said, is it possible he could meet a motorcycle officer? And at that time, I was on a squad that worked the whole state of Arizona, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there.
Okay.
And our kind of off time we had, we go to the local schools and talk to the kids about bicycle safety, which they couldn't care less about. They just want to play
with the bikes.
Right. But the department said, yes, we're going to make a special day for Chris. And with permission of his mother and his doctors, they flew him from his hospital in our helicopter to the headquarters building, and they asked me to be standing by with a motorcycle to meet him.
Okay.
And I expected this very ill. I mean, he had just come off IVs. I didn't know what to expect, this little boy. And I knew he only had a couple weeks to live, which is amazing. He knew that too. I can't even imagine.
He knew that too.
Yes. I can't even imagine when a 7-year-old, how they handle that.
Yeah.
But when the helicopter landed, I expected our paramedics to help out this little boy. Here comes this little pair of red sneakers jumping onto that helicopter, right over to that motorcycle. Hi, I'm Chris. And he just fascinated.
Oh, wow.
And our motorcycles, our uniforms were identical with California Highway Patrol. In fact, we did our initial training with California Highway Patrol, except ours said Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
And And I was super tan at the time, plus had red hair, so I could have been Poncho John, as far as he was concerned. But this little boy, he's all over the motorcycle. He's just having the time of his life. And I just started looking at him thinking, this little boy is kind of his wish is happening for him. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at his mom, and she is just crying.
Wow.
And then it dawned on me, she's got her little 7-year-old boy back. He is running all over the place like a typical 7-year-old. But just kind of briefly, he went on that day to become the first and only honorary Highway Patrol officer in the history of the Arizona Highway Patrol. To this day, now this is 34 years later.
Wow.
Complete with a badge that is still assigned to him today, the smoky hat, the certificate, and he got to go home that night instead of back to the hospital. His doctor said, I don't understand what's going on. His vitals are so good, let's let him go to his comfort zone.
Really?
So he went home that night, and we're kind of happy what we had done, but we started thinking, wait a minute, we've given all this stuff, but a Highway Patrol needs a uniform.
Okay.
And those days, the uniforms are custom made.
Okay.
We go to a tailor shop right at closing time. We said, we've got this 7-year-old boy, he's about this wide, this high, can you make a uniform? 2 ladies spent all night making this custom uniform for Chris. Again, with the permission of our commanders, I led a whole group of motorcycles, Highway Patrol cars into his neighborhood about 8 in the morning. Red lights and sirens. You can imagine the neighbors, right? What the heck is
What's going on here?
Yeah. It's a raid. And he hears all this. He comes running out, his big smiles. We hand in his uniform. Oh my God, he's just happy as could be. Runs in the house within minutes. The quick change. She comes out just strutting. But he comes over to me because he's fascinated by the wings we wear on a uniform for motorcycle officers. He said, I'm so happy, but how do I be a motorcycle officer?
Okay.
And I'm just teasing him. I said, Chris, I explained the training we did. I said, it's a shame you don't have a motorcycle. We'd train you. I'd set up cones right in your driveway. We'd train you right here, see if you pass. Just kind of teasing him a little bit.
Right.
He runs in the house, comes riding out on a little battery-operated motorcycle his mother had got for him in place of a wheelchair.
Okay.
Again, seriously, he's got on a motorcycle helmet.
He's got the helmet at.
Aviator glasses.
Okay.
But the biggest thing, motor officers wear the big high-top boots.
Those up to the knees boots, yeah.
He's got these boots on, what we call on the ranch the mucking boots, the big rubber mucking boots.
Okay.
That look like motorcycle. He's ready. He's got the part.
Okay.
He goes through the cones. He comes back.
So wait a second. So he came out with the stuff and he set the cones right up.
Yeah, we set the cones right up.
Yeah, you were just kidding, but he was ready to.
Oh, he's surprising the heck out of us. So he goes through and he's very serious. Did I pass? Yes, I did. When do I get my wings? Because this is his wish. He wants to be a motorcycle officer.
And he's serious.
Yeah, not just a police officer.
Okay.
Oh yeah, serious as can be. And again, those were custom made. Those were special order.
Okay.
So I say, okay, Chris, you are a motorcycle officer. We're going to get you your wings. It's going to take a couple days. Again, he gets to stay home that night, not back to the hospital.
Okay.
I order the wings. 2 days later, I get a call. Chris is in the hospital in a coma. He's not going to survive the day.
Oh no.
I asked permission to go to the hospital. Yes, you can go to the hospital. I just picked up the wings. His uniform is hanging right by the bed. I go in there. I'm looking at him. I'm just obviously feeling really bad for this little boy.
Yeah.
Just as I pinned on the wings, it's like a movie scene. Just as I pinned on the wings, he comes out of the coma.
No.
He looks at me. He looks over there. The smile just lights up. Am I a motorcycle officer? Yes, you are, Chris. I'm getting a little teary-eyed because I relive this thing every time. I can just see this little boy. And he just starts giggling. He asks for his uniform. I hand it to him. He's showing his mom. He's rubbing those wings. He passed away a couple hours later.
Oh, God.
And I was kind of thinking maybe those wings helped carry him to heaven.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But we had lost a fellow officer, and I was on a fatal squad at this time. That's all I investigated was fatal accidents. But this really got to me, this little boy, because we had connected. I only knew him for maybe an hour out of his life.
Wow.
But we learned he's going to be buried in Illinois. And my commanders came to me and said, we have lost a fellow officer. Will you go to Illinois and give him a full police funeral? As far as we're concerned, he is an official highway patrolman.
That is awesome.
We go back to Illinois. I'm met by Illinois State Police, the city police, the county police. We had about 30 police officers that gave a full procession to this little boy. Mm-hmm. He's buried in uniform. In fact, his grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper.
Oh, wow.
But coming home, I just started thinking, here's this little boy. He had a wish, and we made it happen. Mm-hmm. Why can't we do that for other children? When his mother came home from Illinois, I went to her with this idea, and she just looked at me and she said, let's do it. Now, how do you start a foundation in 1980? I don't have a clue. I'm a police officer. I can do that.
Right.
And this is before the days of internet or anything else.
Yeah.
You go to the library. You research all this stuff. I had a friend that's an attorney, and that's not an oxymoron. Sometimes attorneys can be friends, right? But go to him and say, hey, how do I do this? He helped me put it all together. I had another friend that's an accountant. Okay. He helped me get all the paperwork.
So you got the team together to make this happen. Okay.
Yeah. The hardest thing was develop a board of directors on this thing. A lot of people said, this is not going to work. You can't do this. Nobody's ever heard of nothing like
this.
Now
let me highlight that for a second. Because part of what I want to do for people is tell them how to design a life worth smiling about. And sometimes, life happens, there's challenges, you may have a great vision, something that you want to do, and then life steps on you, trips you up, other people don't support you, anger, arguments, upsets, the whole 9 yards. So when you were developing this, was there any kind of challenges with the board of directors or people who were involved that you had to push through that?
Well, finding somebody to be on the board of directors was a big thing. And then the other thing, and I recognize a lot of people, business people and stuff, say, yeah, I want to be involved, but I recognize they want a resume builder.
Gotcha.
I want a working board member that's going to put this together.
Okay.
And it took about 2 months to find those people. Mm-hmm. And to get in, they wanted to do the same mission. One of the mistakes I made, I was the first president CEO, was I was more of a dictator than I was kind of a leader, because I had this idea. I knew what I wanted to do with the charters, how we were going to run all this, and finally kind of convinced everybody. And 34 years later, we're still using the same charter. My ideas are working.
But you were a jerk at first. Is that what I just heard you say? I want to make sure I highlight this.
A jerk? Yeah, a jerk, yes. I like to say a dictator.
Yeah, okay.
All these people have all these kind of weird ideas, but like I say, everything, apparently I was getting guidance from somewhere, because the idea, and I'm not bragging, but the idea is that it's still a charter and foundation today, the bylaws. And it took 6 months to get it going. And in 1981, we granted our first official wish. Again, a 7-year-old boy, unfortunately passed away. His wish was to go to Disney, and that opened up the doors for Disney. I mean, Disney being one of the biggest sponsors in the world. And I based this whole foundation on integrity, character, accountability. Kept calling Disneyland, we want to send this little boy over, we don't have any money, all we want is, can we get free admission into there, maybe some special things, he's in a wheelchair. Disney kept hanging up on me, they just wouldn't talk to me. I finally said, okay, I need the director of marketing, public relations. Who are you? I'm Frank Shankwitz, Arizona Highway Patrolman. What do you want to talk about? I said, I have a warrant for one of your people.
No, you didn't.
I did. Now, what did I just tell you? I base this on integrity, accountability.
But you created, you're arresting Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you got a warrant out for Mickey Mouse because these people won't talk to you. You sure enough from New York?
I got their immediate attention, obviously.
Sure.
I got the right person on the phone. The first thing I did is said, I just lied.
Okay, good.
I don't have a warrant. Here's my name. Here's my badge number. Here's my telephone numbers. Here's my commander's name. If you want to report me, I'm fired today. But please listen to my story.
Okay.
They listen to the story. They open up their hearts. And I mean, now Disney, one of the biggest sponsors. Sometimes you got to lie just a little bit to get things done.
Well, and not only that, but what you did is that in the face of people being ordinary, we're not interested. Oh, you're another sales guy. And then in the face of that, you had to stay committed. You had to get creative. You had to be more committed to your vision and the cause than the roadblocks. So that's very powerful. You did what it took.
Yeah, and like Greg Reed says, stickability. I'd never heard that word before, but he says you have stickability. And the other thing was people kept saying you can't do that. Well, as police officers were taught, if you say you can't do it, we turn that negative to a positive. So we can do it.
Awesome.
But what I felt good about this in my younger life, I'm raised very poor, a little small town in Arizona, and people actually feeding us. We slept on floors in other people's houses, my mother and I, and that. And I finally, at 10 years old, got a job and started working full-time as a dishwasher. But the man that really helped me out quite a bit, because my mother divorced my father when I was very young. And in fact, my father was looking for me for several years. He didn't know where we were. So this gentleman, Juan Delgadillo, was kind of my father figure.
Okay.
And he said, Frank, when you can, everybody in town is helping you and your mom. When you can, give back. I said, give back, Juan. What are you talking about? We can't even eat. I'm 10 years old. He said, no, Mrs. Sanchez over. Do you see the weeds in her yard? She's bringing your mom and you tortillas and beans every night. Go pull those weeds. You see Mr. Ortega? He's got a caboose. People lived in old cabooses and boxcars. That was home in this little town. He said, he's trying to paint that up and fix it up. You go over there and help him scrape and sand a little bit. That's giving back. And I always remembered that. Years later, on the highway patrol, I was involved in a high-speed chase. Another drunk driver runs a stop sign, hits me broadside, 80 miles an hour. I'm dead at the scene. Pronounced dead at the scene.
You were dead at the scene.
My fellow officer my partner could not bring me back. Off-duty emergency room nurse from this beautiful state of California happened to drive by. She said, please, can I work on him? She worked for 4 minutes, brought me back to life.
Wow.
And that was... Every officer I know, we believe in a higher being.
You have to.
You go to work every day, you say, please, may I come home at night? You get home at night, you say, hey, thank you for allowing me to come home at night. But it took about 6 months to recover from that accident. Skull fracture, all this other things related as we're sliding down the road.
Well, yeah.
And I often wonder, why did I survive this accident? What's my mission in life? And then as we go back to what I just told you, 1980, I meet this little boy, he created this foundation, have given back, I think. And my friend Juan Delgadillo, I used to see, and unfortunately he passed away a few years. It was probably 10 years before I had seen him. And I walk in this little restaurant he has, and it's so funny. It's just this little place, and he's got all these customers in there. And I walk in with this motorcycle outfit and this and that, and he looks at me, because I used to help him sweep and everything in the back.
Okay.
He said, Officer, he called me Pancho all the time. Officer Pancho, that means Frank in Spanish. Officer Pancho, go grab that mop and a broom and start cleaning up.
No.
And the people are looking, my God, this guy is telling this cop to start sweeping? And then he jumps over the counter and gives me a hug. He knew what I'd done, and he said, Frank, you gave back. God, that
Frank, now you have some other projects that you're doing, a couple of things. Let's hear that.
Well, Hollywood called.
Okay.
And said, we want to do a movie about your life. And I said, no, you don't. It's not interesting. And they said, well, we think it is. Well, they've kept me involved with this, and it is. We're doing a major, I thought it was going to be a documentary, but it's a major feature film.
Really?
About my life from age 10 to when we started the Make-A-Wish Foundation in 1980.
Awesome.
And it's based on a true story. I learned that as
yeah, the writers, they kind of
But they luckily had script approval in this, so we've worked
Good.
actually 2 years on the screenplay, and just in the last 2 weeks, they finally knocked out one that I said wow, and they said wow.
Awesome.
2 production companies where it started out with a low budget independent film, now some major studios. We were in Hollywood a couple weeks ago, and major studios are now fighting to get this thing.
Okay.
And it's gone from this low budget to a super high budget,
Wow.
major motion picture.
Awesome.
And it's fun for me because a police officer, I just retired last year after 41 years.
Congratulations.
And what do you do? And luckily they keep me involved in this. They get me in the meetings. What's your opinion on this? What do you think? They could care less what I think,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at least they're making me feel like I'm part of it. But it's a lot of fun, and they also hired me as location manager. We hope to film in Arizona, so we're
Now, when is
I
it gonna come out, do you think?
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay.
They just went into casting this
Okay.
last week, and with this new major studio that picked it up, they're going to tweak a lot of stuff. Not so much in the screenplay. They love the current screenplay.
Okay.
And that's solid.
Okay.
But actual locations and that. But they did hire me as a technical advisor, so I could just still. I'm involved with the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, one more thing about this, very important question. How do I get a part in it?
Yeah, that's what I said. How do I get a part? And they said, well, you can be in it. And there's a scene in a bar or so on because I was kind of drinking a little bit back then. And they said you can mop in the floor back there, and so that's my part. I'm a major star.
The creator of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, founder, is mopping floors in his own movie. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, the other project you have, tell me about the Ripple Effect.
This is Ripple Effect Foundation. I was contacted by several people, including Greg Reed and that, and said, let's start this new foundation, the Ripple Effect Foundation, where we're going to help other charities. We're gonna create enough money we can help either an upcoming or another charity like a Wounded Warrior.
Yeah.
They need funds go in. We can help that, or we can help an individual. Again, talking about our service people, they need a service dog. This guy we learned needs a service dog. VA won't do that. It's $58,000 minimum to get a service dog.
Okay, wow.
So let's take care of that.
Okay.
Or a big cause like a Katrina. Let's go in the community.
So you're
and all of
basically
this
a funnel for other charities.
Right.
Okay.
We'll go in and start a ripple effect to get this going. Now, what's great is we just filed the paperwork. We're not official yet. Everything's been filed. In fact, 2 weeks ago. But I get a call from ABC last week, ABC Television. We heard about your project. I'm going to Hollywood next week to talk to ABC executives. They said, we want to do a series on this show. What?
Yes.
So, who knows? But at least they're calling us.
That's, yes.
And the concept of this is they want to get a relation to motorcycles because of my past with motorcycles, is they want to get celebrities every week that will ride on these motorcycles.
Okay.
And we're going to start a ripple effect to the community with either a ride, a concert, whatever it might be,
Okay.
for their favorite charity.
Oh my God, there's so much you can do with this.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
so great.
And then the funding from the thing will go to our foundation so we can help other charities. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, you know what, Frank, if I were to summarize our time together, which I so appreciate so much, that you've been a ripple effect for the world and making a difference, and you're an inspiration, and I know other people are going to ask themselves, how can I be a ripple effect in the world? So,
And we'll have a website up, a Facebook page, everything. We're all working on it, so
awesome.
just follow us.
We're going to get the word out. Ripple Effect. Gang, Frank Shankwitz, founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, and now the Ripple Effect. Thank you very much. Don't forget to keep smiling. All right.
And thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
All right.